So we're going to go through learning outcome 2, which is understand models of behavior change. Now, there's only one assessment criterion here, which is 2.1. Evaluate the effectiveness of different models of behavior change in relation to health and well-being. So I'll click onto here. So before we go on to the models, we're just going to look at what behavioural change theories are. And now I apologise in advance, there will be some amount of reading that I will do off the slides because it's the most succinct way of explaining them. So, so when we're looking at behaviour change theories, they're actually there to help you to attempt to explain why there's different changes within behaviour. Now, these different theories will actually look at your environmental, your personal and your behavioural characteristics as well. And then within the recent years, there's actually been quite a lot of interest in the application of these theories in these different areas. So like in health, education, criminology, energy and international development. And these theories have been put into place just to help you to understand why there's behavioural change and how can you improve your services to reflect these behaviours.
Yeah.
And then we've got the stages of behaviour change. So just a nice simple chart here, which goes through pre-contemplation, where you're not sure what problem is, contemplation, where you know there's a problem, but you're sort of thinking, oh, I might change my behaviour.
Yeah.
Preparation. Thinking about taking exercise. Now, this is where I am when it comes to exercise. I know that I should be doing it, and I do prepare to do it, but I never get to action.
No.
Exactly. Then you got the action part where, you're actually doing what you've set out, and then maintenance, you're actually working towards. Now, the best thing I heard was that you've got to do a particular thing to gain a habit. You've got to do it for 2 weeks before you've actually gained a habit of it. And it has to be done continuously. And I think, it's the hardest part, isn't it, when you're looking to try
getting yourself into a routine with it.
Yeah, but once you're there, it's easy to do, but very easy to fall off as well.
Yeah.
So we're on to the criteria, which is 2.1. Evaluate the effectiveness of different models of behaviour change in relation to health and well-being. So we're going to look at these models of behaviour change. The health belief model, theory of reasoned action, theory of social learning, and stages of change model. So we've got the health belief model, which can be known as HBM for short, and it was researched by someone called Hochbaum and Rosenstock in 1952. Now, this model, it actually tries to predict your health-related behaviour. So it tries to figure out what sort of patterns you have. It looks at your motivation, looks at what your health behaviour is, and it can be divided into 3 categories. So individual perceptions, modifying factors, and likelihood of action. So individual perceptions, they're just the factors that will affect your perception of your illness and the importance of your health. They'll also look at what the perceived severity of it is as well. Then you've got modifying factors, where you look at the demographic variables, what the threat might be, and what sort of actions you might decide to take. And then you've got the likelihood of action. And this is where you're looking at the benefits, and then you're taking away the barriers that might happen. So you know that there might be certain barriers, but you're trying to get around those.
Yeah.
And then this is your just a health belief model and a figuration.
And can you find things like that on Google? Sorry, I'm just trying to write down it. So
this is where I got everything from. I just went in. I don't. You can go on Google Scholar, but I avoid that a little bit. The only reason being is because I want you to be able to get hold of things that I get hold of. So
do you know, I didn't even know there was such thing as a Google Scholar.
Yeah, I came across that about a year or 2 years ago, but it's not my best friend. I've got to say.
No.
Yeah, but you can actually, you know how to use a snipping tool on Google on your computer.
No.
So it's easy. My son showed me this, and I use it almost daily now. So do you do this little search bar over here?
Yeah.
This one here. So all you got to do is type in snip. So let me just get rid of that now. Go back to my arrow there. So if I just type in snip, it comes up with snip and sketch, but I always go for the snipping tool. Press open, and it comes onto your main screen. So you press new, and it goes like that, and then you just cut out what you want.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and then you just go onto this where it's got that paper, so copy. And then if I wanted to, I could just go and paste it. It won't let me paste on here, but if I open a Word document, it'll just let me paste it into there. So there's a lot of things sometimes you want to copy and paste into your work, which in certain formats it won't work, because I've noticed that there are some images that, and this is the way to get around it. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Just let me know if you want to go over the steps again.
Thank you. Sorry, I've jotted down my notes as we go along.
Good. Seriously, it's a game changer, this little tool. There you go. So you got the health belief model, which we should go through. Oh yeah, we've done that. So then we've got theory of reasoned action, and it can be known as TRA or TORA for short. So it just is there to help you to explain the relationship between attitudes and behaviors within human action. So it's trying to be used to predict how people will behave depending on their pre-existing attitudes and behavioral intentions. So your culture and your upbringing will come into this as well. And then again, it's based on an individual's decision to engage in particular behaviors and what sort of outcomes they expect from those behaviors. So, and this was developed by a guy called Martin Fishbane and Isaac Adjzen, if apologies if I'm pronouncing them wrong, and in 1967. And these were actually taken off previous research that they did on social psychology and persuasion models and attitude theories. So they've looked at these, they've done these research and they've come to this. Now, what they're saying is that the primary purpose of TRA is to understand an individual's voluntary behavior. So they're looking at examining what their basic motivation is to do these things. So theory of reasoned action, it states that a person's intention to perform a behavior is the main predictor of whether or not they're actually going to do it. And then it also works on the intention to perform certain behaviors. And sometimes they'll say that the intention will actually precede the actual behavior. So even if you don't do it, it's the fact that you intended to do it. And then they can call it this intention, they call it the behavioral intention. So, and this is just a theory of reasoned action. It just goes through all the little steps of how you come onto your intentions.
Yeah.
Then you have the theory of social learning. So social learning is just a theory of how you learn, how you process, and what your social behavior is and what purposes that these new behaviors can have. If you're acquiring new behaviors, you're observing others, you're imitating others, that there'll be certain aspects when I'm at work, when I was working in a physical form within an establishment, there were certain things that I'd look up to certain members of staff that had more experience than me, or I'd like a particular way somebody dressed, or like the way that they held themselves, and unconsciously you end up trying to mimic those behaviors or trying to perceive yourself to be in that way. So it's something that isn't it? So what this states is that learning is a cognitive process and it takes place in a social context. So it happens purely through observation or even through direct instruction. And it just happens without you even realizing it. So you don't need direct reinforcement. Nobody has to tell you, come on, do this, you just do it. So in addition to this observation, They also say that learning occurs through the observation of rewards and punishments. So this is called a vicarious reinforcement. So it says when a particular behavior is rewarded regularly, it will persist. But if it's punished, then it will desist. It's think in aspects of where you've got young learners, our children, the little ones that go to school. If they're doing good work, they're taking their homework in weekly, they're getting certificates and rewards and stickers, then that's getting reinforced. But if they're constantly talking when the teacher's talking or playing or not listening, then they get put onto stages or the traffic light system that is in the schools, and then that's getting they're getting a type of punishment, are they, where they're getting 5 minutes off their break, or so it's trying to teach them to desist from that behavior.
Yeah.
Then this actual theory, it expands on the traditional behavioral theories, and it says that behavior is governed solely by reinforcements and that there's an emphasis on important roles of various internal processes. So when things are getting reinforced, you just want to do them. And then you've got social learning theory. So your behavior, your environmental factors, and your personal factors, all three of these will play a part into it.
Yeah.
And then you've got the change model, and we go through stages of change model over here. So there's 6 steps, and it's quite a complex process, but it helps someone to change their habits and behaviors, and it also helps them to integrate changes into their lives. So you've got the pre-contemplative or unaware stage, contemplative, preparing, action, maintaining, and then either termination, advocacy, or transcendence.
Give me 1 second, I just want to quickly write them down.
I'll go back so you can see.
Thank you, sorry.
These PowerPoints are on Moodle as well now.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, so you should be able to access them easily.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm there.
You do fast writing, I've got to say. Mine would be a scribble by now.
No, I'm quite good with being at work of having to write as quick as people talk.
Yeah.
So I've kind of got used to it now.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you've got the pre-contemplative or the unaware stage. So in this stage, people, they're not interested in change. They don't see why they need to change, and they've got no intention. They sort of defend their own behavior. Like if I had somebody come up to me and say, oh, you do a job where you're sitting down for hours a day, let's go for a walk in the park. I'd be like, nah, it's all right. I get enough exercise going backwards or cleaning the house or running after the kids.
Yeah.
Because you're not bothered. You don't want to.
Mhm.
Then you go into the contemplative stage. So in this stage, people start to think, oh, there is an issue. I'm getting this twinge here, or I've got this ache here, or I really should be moving around a little bit more. And they feel they need to start making changes, that they have a problem, and they should start acting towards something. So they're contemplating it.
Yeah.
Then you've got the preparing stage, where you know that a change is about to happen. You're concerned about your issue. It might have been say, for example, a family member has got diabetes and you're worried that maybe you'll get it, or, it could be anything, to be honest, but you're preparing to go and make a change. So you might end up going out and getting healthy foods or exercise clothes or trainers, or you might end up trying to change your job to get somewhere else. So it really works in that way. Number 4 is the action/trying stage. This is where you actually start making your changes. You're actually applying what you've thought about, and you're open to receiving help and support from others.
Yeah.
The number 5 is maintenance stage. So at this stage, people, they're just working to maintain the behavior that they've started. They want to keep on with it. They don't want to relapse. They don't want to give in to temptation. But their old behavior doesn't seem viable or desirable to them anymore. So they're putting in place coping strategies, and they're trying to work towards it.
Yeah.
Then the last stage is termination, so when you just stop. So this stage was actually added on later by Prochaska and Di Clemente. So this new stage, it just it shows that, you know, you've got all of those things that you were working toward, but then you'll sort of revert back to your former habits. So you're going back to your older habits onto here.
It's kind of like you're relapsing kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. And then we just got a model here, stages of change, which goes through each of those points that we talked about.
Yeah.
So in total, what we've looked at today is the different models of change: health belief model, theory of reasoned action, theory of social learning, and the stages of change model.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So do you have any questions or anything you want to go over?
No, I don't think so.
Brilliant. I'm going to turn this recording off.